All right. Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Cheryl Ewert with Community Lending. I'm a mortgage loan advisor here in South Florida, and I wanted to do a virtual meeting just to have coffee and get to have discussions and talk about all these different topics as we're all quarantined at home. But we want to make sure that we're still educating our referral partners and our clients. So we may have some home buyers that jump on. So we may use a lot of general terms so that they can understand the basics, because they're not familiar with this as some of us may be, and we want to be cognizant of what they're trying to learn. So I want to introduce Steve Trotta. He's with Real Deep Inspections, and he's joining us today so that he can answer all of our questions in regards to the home inspection process and home inspection period. Steve, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, all right. The Zoom meeting is new to me. I apologize.
So Steve, give us a little background about yourself real quick.
All right. Lived born and raised in South Florida. Been a firefighter for 13 years for the city of Fort Lauderdale. Got a lot of extra time, so can't sit around the house. The wife won't have it. Got to do something on the side. So home inspections seem to be. I like, I work around the house a lot anyway. So
you're very familiar with like all that goes into the home.
Exactly.
Nice. Well, thank you for your service. We really appreciate it. And we at Community Lending are really big in, showing appreciation to our first responders. So we want to thank you for all the sacrifices that you and your family are making right now. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Of course. So we're going to go ahead and get started on some questions, because I know you have another inspection you're going to be doing shortly, so we don't want to take up too much of your time. But let's go into basically some very general basics. What is the home inspection? Is it the same thing as an appraisal?
No, the appraisal is more where they're trying to basically establish the value of the home, whereas the home inspection more deals with the functionality of the home.
Okay.
So we go in and we look at, everything. A full home inspection starts when you pull up at the front of the house. Now, the first thing I look at is the grade of the yard, making sure that it's pitched away from the house. And then we pretty much go through the house with a fine tooth comb, documenting, taking pictures, test pretty much everything, all the major appliances. Now, it's a visual inspection as far as both of them go. The appraisals walk around, they're taking pictures. They're looking for updates of the home, updated bathrooms and kitchens and floors. For us, the updates we don't really care about the updates except for things like a water heater, electrical panel. Those are things that we look at, that could air conditioning units, things that could possibly cause the potential buyer large extra amounts of money once they purchase the home.
Nice. So. Okay. And so why is it important for, let's say, a brand new first-time home buyer, or even in general, a home seller, to just get familiar with what to expect, or just, a homeowner that has purchased before? Why is it important to get a home inspection?
Well, it basically lets you know what you're getting into, what you're buying. So before you purchase the home, I'm going to go in there, I'm going to check it out, and I'm going to tell you, okay, this AC unit's 8 years old. You possibly can get another 2 years out of it, or it may break down the day you move in. I mean, like, your electrical panels, brand new. I pulled the permits on it. It was done by a reputable electrician. The roof was recently done. Things like that let them know what to expect. So when they move in and a big rainstorm comes, they shouldn't have to worry about throwing a bucket under a leak
Mm-hmm.
Those are things we look for.
Okay. And so basically it's similar to when someone goes to buy a car, they go and get the car checked to make sure it's in, has good bones. It's going to work after they buy it. So it's common sense to probably do the same thing with a house. Make sure that
Absolutely
everything's functioning properly. Because I would think probably the house is maybe a little more expensive to have to fix than, a
Yeah,
car.
absolutely.
So what
Absolutely.
specifics do you check when you walk into a house? You mentioned the electrical panel from the outside. You mentioned looking at, the hot water heater. Are there any other specifics that should be, I guess, zoned in on focus so that when the home buyer gets their inspection back, they know what to look for?
Yeah, and like when I do an inspection, everything is a concern to me will stand out to them when they're reading the inspection. If it's a concern to me, then it's definitely going to be a concern to them. Another huge factor that we look at is the plumbing in the house. And all of these things revolve around basically the insurance companies, because the bank will finance the house, but then when you're trying to get it insured, the insurance is going to be like, all right, your electrical panel is too old, we're not going to insure you, or you need to change it, or your rate's going to be astronomical. And the same thing applies with the roof. But there's plumbing that was used for a short period of time that insurance companies just don't like it. Polybutylene, and it's not good. It fails all the time. But houses were plumbed with it, so that's another major system that we look at is the plumbing. Basically, I call them deal breakers. To me, if the house is plumbed with polybutylene, to me that's a deal breaker. I wouldn't buy the house, because you're just gonna, unless you can work it out with the seller to have the plumbing corrected, it's just a huge price that you're gonna have to pay.
Now, in South Florida, actually, I know there's quite a few communities that still have polypipe. I'm not sure how it is on the West Coast, but I do have some of my team members at Community Lending that are joining. But so over here, I know that that's very common. But like you said, that they can always negotiate with the seller that if they want to get some sort of a credit or an agreement to have it possibly replaced, then it could be a little more affordable at that point. Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there anything else other than the plumbing and the panel that you guys pay attention to?
Oh, the roof. So not just the electrical panel. So we'll look at if the house has a service drop. You have to see how the electricity runs to the house. If it's underground,
okay, that's
one thing. But we check the panel, the main feed panel outside. As far as the panels go, and we make sure the amperage is correct for the house. A lot of people add a lot of appliances and things, jacuzzis, stuff like that, without upgrading their service panels, and that could cause problems in the future. So we look deep into the electrical system, the plumbing system, the roof, cover the entire roof. Plus, we get in the attic, make sure we don't see any leaks up there. We see how the roof is secured to the house. That helps with your insurance as well.
So you guys actually crawl into every little space.
Everything. There's no stone unturned when we're doing it. We look at absolutely everything. It's actually it's called a limited visual inspection, but it's a very intrusive inspection, especially when the people are still living in the home. But we like, especially the buyer, to be there while we're there.
Okay.
And everyone's welcome to be there. I've had the real estate, the buyer and the seller there at the same time, and it's it's better. It works out better sometimes because you bring things out right there, and it's no surprise to anybody.
So you actually talk to the clients as they're walking through, and you go through and explain everything to them right then and there, and then you also then put it onto a report.
Yeah. It's
awesome.
It's all documented. Everything I see, like I said, there's hundreds of pictures that accompany it. Take pictures of everything.
Nice. So what limits do you have as a home inspector? What are the things you do not check?
Nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So you check everything. Okay.
Check it all. Dishwasher, we run the dishwasher, turn the
Oh,
dryer on, turn the washer on.
so you run all the appliances while you're there.
Yes.
Nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And
Run it all.
so you mentioned inspection types, and you said something about limited inspection, a limited visual. So what other inspection types are there that we can expect, our buyers or sellers to be prepared for when someone's walking through their home?
So we do generally for as far as the real estate purpose goes, it's a whole home inspection, which that's the one where we come in and there's nothing left. We check everything. For insurance purposes, we do a wind mitigation and we do a 4-point. And for those, we just come in and check just the major systems of the house. We'll check the electrical, we'll check the plumbing, the roof, and oh my God, I just drew a blank. Oh, I'm sorry. And the openings of the home. So the doors, the windows, garage door. We check all the openings, and those are for insurance credits to lower your insurance premiums.
Okay. Now, in regards to those door openings you mentioned, now, do certain things have to be up to a specific code? I mean, I heard that a lot of people they must follow Miami-Dade code.
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yes. Yeah. If it doesn't have the Miami-Dade approval on it, it's really not considered, I would say, in the insurance world as real coverage. So you could have shutters on your home, and if it doesn't have the Miami-Dade stamp on it, I believe they give you credit, but you don't get
like the full
right,
thing. So basically, wood panels are not considered a shutter. You're not going to get credit if there's just pallets of wood, right?
If you can get credit for wood covering, yeah, but you just don't get. I believe you get credit for wood covering, or maybe not. No credit at all for wood covering. They don't even care about it.
Okay, so I mean, I would say that's probably a conversation that buyer should have with maybe an insurance agent prior to when they're searching for coverage.
Yes,
awesome.
Absolutely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
So you mentioned the home inspection. Now that's what they call, I guess, a comprehensive, right?
Yeah.
So that's just a general inspection of the house. It doesn't really go into the nicks and crannies the way the wind mitigation and the 4-point do.
The home inspection that we look at everything. The wind mitigation is basically they're looking for hurricane protection. So the wind mitigation is the one where we look at the openings, how the roof is attached to the home, and that's pretty much what they're concerned with. Is how is the house going to stand up in a hurricane? Oh,
just a quick question off subject. Have you seen any of those the metal roofs yet? People were talking about them coming into play, and I haven't seen any yet, so I was just curious.
Yeah, the metal roofs I love them.
Yeah.
They last a long time, and I think they look great.
Okay.
They don't wear like the tile roofs and the shingle roofs.
Right. Okay. So we have our 3 basic inspections: the home inspection, which is the comprehensive. We have the wind mitigation, the 4-point. Now, those, I know that some insurance agents will say if the home is over a certain age that one may not be needed. So just obviously anybody watching, consult with an insurance agent when before letting your buyers know what they need to get, because depending on, I believe, certain carriers, they are requiring sometimes both. But are there any other specialty inspection types that you guys do?
Yeah, there's so some people just need their roof certified for their insurance company. So we'll go out and we'll check the roof, the connections, to the home, make sure there's no leaks, so that the roof inspection, we just go out and we just basically cover from corner to corner of the roof, making sure that it's in good condition. Basically try and determine, how much life it has left and things like that. We also do, some people just want the pool done, so we'll do the pool, sprinklers, mold. I don't do the mold yet,
Okay.
but mold is another one. And yeah, so if somebody updates their windows and they go from, like, say, old shutters to impact windows, we go out and we'll do that. Just redo the openings. Yeah, to make sure that they're all qualified. So a lot of things that happen that people do that. They'll have shutters on their home and they'll put impact windows in, but their front door, even though it's a solid door, and their garage door, even though it's a solid door, they don't change them. So in the insurance company's eyes, if that opening is not an approved Miami-Dade opening, you don't get credit for the coverage because you have unprotected openings. Even though they're solid doors, if they don't have that Miami-Dade approval on there or the impact rating, then it's not considered protected. So that's a big thing people do, and it's hard to break that to them when you're standing and you're like, you didn't change the door? They're like, no, it's a solid door. I'm like, I hate to be the one to tell you this, but
Yeah.
you need to change the door.
And skylights are one too.
Yes.
If they're not hurricane proof.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that stinks.
Yeah, that's funny you say that. I forgot about that. But at my last inspection, I had that very situation with it. They had the roof redone, had all the openings done except the skylight. It's like, so.
Okay. Now you mentioned. I'm sorry.
The only option you have is to change it. They don't make any coverings for it. You just got to change the skylight.
Got it. You mentioned the pool inspection. Now that's really interesting because in South Florida, obviously everybody almost has a pool. And if they have the pool light, it's really important to make sure that they get the pool inspected, because if the wiring or if there's a crack, that could cause an electrical, I would think, an issue. Somebody could get electrocuted in the pool. So I didn't even think of getting pool inspection. So any of the realtors watching, that's maybe something to, give them as your, buyer or seller. Maybe you may want to have the pool taken a look at. So.
Yeah, if the pool light hasn't been updated, if it's an old pool and it's still 120 volts, that is a definite no-no. All the new pool lights are 12 volts. So if there is a malfunction, it's not killing anybody. But the old pool lights are 120 volts, like just exactly what you were saying. If there's a malfunction with that, whoever's in the pool is in big trouble. So those are no-no.
I'm gonna go asking everybody before I get in their pool. How many volts do you have?
Shut your pool light off.
Right?
Yeah.
No swimming at night. No. All right. Well, that's interesting. That's something I didn't know. So look, you learn something new every day. Yeah. Now every company is charging different fees for these inspections. Is there a standard?
I'm off there.
Hello?
I can hear you.
I don't think you can hear me. So what I was saying, there I am. What I was saying was, what's the range of the fees that we should be expecting on these policy, the inspections? Because I had a buyer actually a little while ago get an inspection from a company. I don't know where they found them, but they charged them over $600 and they made them sign a waiver. And I said, why are you signing a waiver? So then that kind of, that was a red flag. So what is the fee range they should be expecting so they know they're not being overcharged? And I mean, do you make anybody sign a waiver?
No, because in the inspection it states in there, and I kind of when they're there, I just kind of explain to them, this inspection's happening now. So if you don't move into this house for 3 weeks, things may change. You know, sellers do crazy things sometimes, you know, so a tree branch falls down and hits the roof and cracks the tile, you know, 2 days after I do the inspection. So I just let them know this inspection is happening today, and things may change. Now, if I'm telling you that the electrical panel is good and you're not going to have any problems with it, and then they call me back and say my insurance agent said my electrical panel is no good. Well, that's different. That's my fault, you know. But that's not.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's an error on me, because that should never happen. You know, but
Right.
things do happen. The dishwasher might break 2 weeks later. You know, so those things do happen. But
Mm-hmm.
I would never. I don't make people sign a waiver. I feel like that would, if I had to sign a waiver for someone to check my house, it would make me a little
Yeah, that
standoffish.
was a little red flag. It made it seem like, well, do you not know what you're looking at? Or, you
Right.
know, so that was a little concerning. And some people don't know better that they sign those things. So I wouldn't, I mean, I would always recommend to my clients, never sign any type of a waiver. But as you know, there's a reason that this has a date on it. You can't foresee the future. Now, do you do septic inspections?
I do not do septic tank inspections. No, I do
Okay.
not.
So I know that when there is a septic tank, it's really important to make sure that you do get that septic tank inspected. I just had another client who closed and he never got well, he went with somebody else, no big deal. But I saw on social media, his septic, I think, burst under, and it was the pipes and stuff under the ground. So it was a mess, and he had literally just closed a week ago. So I felt horrible. I said, well, did you not get an inspection? And he's like, no, I didn't know I needed one. And I'm thinking to myself, well, when there's a septic tank, I know in the world of lending, we usually require you to have a bacterial test, and we always, you know, recommend that you get it tested. So just food for thought for anybody that's watching. When you have a septic, make sure you get those inspected as well.
Yeah, and they
there
have
is some
these.
comments. Okay, so Seth said he had a previous owner put their foot through the garage ceiling while moving out right after his inspection.
Yeah.
Yikes.
We caught it on the final walkthrough, but that was an eye-opener and a pretty quick fix.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens.
Yeah.
He was clearly not happy about moving. I'll say that.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the next question. How long, let's see, we did the fees, right? How much could they expect to spend? I'm sorry, I don't think I heard that part.
Yeah. So for wind mitigation and the 4-point, those run about $100. If I did them both together, it's $175 for them both.
Okay.
And then for the whole home inspection, it's basically goes on the size of the home.
Mm-hmm.
But those start at 500,
Mm-hmm.
and that includes the wind mit and the 4-point.
Okay, so that's all included.
Yeah, that gives you everything. Wind mit, 4-point, okay. The whole home inspection.
So there is no standard price. They are subject to change based on the size. If you've got a 6,000 square foot home versus a condo that may be 1,600, then they could be looking to spend way more having an inspection done on that 6,000 square foot.
Yeah, because it's you're there for say like a 6,000 square foot home. I would probably be there 5 hours or 6 hours.
Well, that was my next question: is how long does the inspection take?
Yeah, it's lengthy. You know, we go. You know, we have moisture gauges and thermometers and stuff. So we'll run the AC, and we just with the blower motor on, and we'll test the temperature of that. Then we'll turn the AC on, and we'll check the drop to make sure that it's cooling sufficiently. We'll do the same thing with the heater. You know, we go around with the moisture meter and checking under all the sinks, and you know, if it's a 2-story house, determine where the main feed's going up, and we check around that area to make sure there's no moisture. Some homes do. You'll see an old leak spot on the ceiling, and we'll check that and make sure that it is in fact dry. You know, there's no leak, and of course then we'll go above it in the attic and make sure that that's that's also dry.
So for those who are not familiar with what a moisture meter does, basically you're determining with that if there's water or any type of moisture in the walls that could potentially be growing mold.
Correct. Yep.
Wow. So you go through the whole house and you run that up the walls to see if there's any moisture.
Yeah, around the windows. Basically, you look do them under the windows, make sure that the sills aren't leaking. All
That's
around the
good.
sinks. Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I said. It's entailed. We're there a while doing, so it's
very,
not
very detailed.
yeah.
Well,
It's not
that's awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think when I had my inspection done, I don't think I saw them do the moisture meters. That would have been nice.
Yeah, not everybody does it. Not everybody does it, but it's
Okay, so not everyone does it. So then these are the
no,
questions that maybe people should be asking the home inspector before just hiring them. What do you
yeah,
do? How many inspections do you do? What are the specialty ones? Do you touch this? Do you touch this? So,
right.
okay, so these are, maybe we'll make a little pamphlet out of this and do a checklist for
Yeah.
some home buyers and sellers. I'm gonna quickly open it up to everybody if they have a question. If you wanna just drop it in the chat box real quick, or you can raise your hand by pressing the reactions at the bottom. If you guys have a scenario or a question for Steve, feel free to drop that in real quick and we'll ask him. Let me see. Let's see if anyone has anything. It may take them a minute to type, so.
I think they're tired of hearing my voice.
No. Okay, so what cities do you serve?
We do Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach.
Okay, so Tri-County over on the East Coast. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
All
Yeah.
right. And let's see. Seth has a question. Is it important to ask how often that they do inspections? Seth, are you meaning for the inspector, how often he does inspections? Or how often?
Right. So I was talking to an inspector, and he says the more frequent the inspector, the more known he is, the better his quality could be. Just to kind of get a feel for, if it's a one-off Joe or a guy who actually takes it seriously. Also, something else that I've noted too, and I wanted to ask Steve, is what does the report look like? Is it a video? Do you do recorded documentation, or how does it present to the potential buyer?
It's a PDF file, so it has all color pictures, and it's laid out. So when the roof section's there, when you get to the roof section, you're going to see all the pictures of the roof, and then the comments about the roof. The year the roof was put on, how many years believe the roof has left, if there's any deficiencies in the roof, any repairs that were done to the roof, and then so on and so forth. And then the next section will be, say,
So it's
they start
section by section in PDF
yes,
form with pictures detailing where, if, like, say there's water damage in the ceiling or something like that, you take a picture of it, you say, or highlight the part. Okay, awesome.
correct.
Thank you.
Steve, you also, on those reports, you give a recommendation as to if something is extremely important and needs to be changed immediately. You also give the lifespan of whatever it is that you're discussing, and then you put a price on there as to what you think it may cost to replace or repair that, correct?
Yeah, it'll be a price range.
Okay, so it can give the buyer or seller an idea of what to expect as far as how much it's going to cost.
Yes.
Now, and I know usually insurance agents, they won't accept a inspection report that has no photos. I believe they all have to have photos. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
There's a minimum requirement of photos that the insurance company wants to see. So without that, it's
Awesome. Now, Haiti has a question. Oh, I'm sorry. Were you done, Steve?
yeah.
Okay. Haiti has a question. I'm going to unmute her because it's a little long for her to type. Haiti? Oh, maybe I didn't unmute her.
Question to Steve is the following. I had an inspection. I'm the listing agent, and the report stated from the inspector that came in for the buyers, nobody showed up to the inspection. I was there. The report states wood frame used for air handler support, fire hazard, and then he gave the estimate of the price. So what happened was the AC unit is there. It is a townhome, and underneath it has the wood frame because underneath it has the water heater.
Uh-huh.
I literally had to go on the internet and find out, but they said by code, but I found out that the code, I think it was 2017 or 2018. So my question is, I understood that a lot of homes and condos have this in South Florida, Dade County and Broward, but it was done by code at that time. Does it need to be brought up to code now?
Yes.
Great question.
That's a very gray area, but as far as we're concerned, it needs to be brought up to code, because the reason they changed the code is because it is a fire hazard. But it really lies in the buyer if they want to push that issue to have it changed. But if I found that, I would have done the same thing the inspector said. So this is not up to today's code. So I recommend it to be changed. Now that lies in the hands of the buyer, what they're going to do with it. I don't believe, as far as the insurance companies go, I don't think they care about that, but it's definitely a fire hazard. And I mean, fire hazards are very concerning. If it was me moving in, I would definitely change it.
Okay. The buyers are fine with that. We'll see. But thank you. And one last question, maybe you can help me with this. When someone is going to list a property, we were talking about poly pipes, and Cheryl knows the areas, and a lot of us realtors know the areas. What would be, do you have an amount on credit on the seller, what the credit would be to a buyer coming in, because it is a deal breaker?
That's again, it would be the amount of pipe and the size of the house, and
okay,
and that's would determine that. Like you say, if it's a condo and it's small, there's not as much piping as there would be in, say, a 6,000 square foot home. So there's a really large range.
Yeah, probably get a plumber to come in and do maybe a general inspection and a quote. And then that may give you an idea of how much it may cost to redo that home. So I would probably stick to the plumber on that.
Oh, definitely. That's it. So what happens is when we find that, and I tell you that there's poly pipe in the house, on that comment as well is going to say, I recommend you contact a licensed plumber, as well as the electrical system. And as if I find something wrong with the electrical system, I'm going to tell you, you need to get a licensed electrician or a general contractor. General contractors cover everything. It's hard to find them to come in though, but definitely if there's an issue with something, I'm going to recommend to you that you get a licensed professional for that specific area to come in and examine it.
Yeah, I agree. I had a question, but I just forgot what it was. Did anyone else have a question in the meantime? Let's see.
I kind of did. Did you? I missed the kind of the beginning of it, so I apologize. Did you go over the difference between a point, what insurance agents usually ask for, and what the long inspection is? And what's the biggest difference between the two of them?
Between the 4-point and the whole home inspection?
Yeah.
Okay, so the 4-point, we're looking at general things that deal with the home. So the electrical system, the plumbing, the AC, and the roof. Those are the 4 things that we look at under the 4-point. Whereas the whole home inspection, we look at all that, and you know, everything else that's there, including the yard.
So the Amanda, the comprehensive, I believe, tells you what structure and bones it has, like how good everything is still holding up, pretty much. The 4-point, when he mentioned, and we'll send out the recording as well where he went over it, was for like all the major systems and openings, if I'm understanding.
Yeah, that's the wind mitt does the openings.
Oh, the wind mitt does the openings. Okay.
And the 4-point does the 4 major things: the electrical, the plumbing, the roof, and the air conditioning.
Nice. Okay. Did anyone else have any questions?
So the reason with the 4-point is for like the insurance companies. If your house is 30 years or older, they want a 4-point to see how these things are holding up.
Yes, I have a question.
If they've been changed or not.
Okay. Go ahead. What was your question?
Okay, if I wanted to buy a house that needed a full rehab, would I go with an inspector first or would I go with a contractor first?
If you wanted to buy a house that was what? I'm sorry.
A full rehab, like it's listed as a full rehab?
Okay. Yeah, contractor, definitely.
When would
is
the home inspector come into play for that?
Actually, for that, you would only need, well, it depends on what the contractor would do, because the contractor is like the next level up from an inspector. So
okay,
they can come in, a contractor can look at your plumbing. He's licensed in, a general contractor is licensed in all those areas. So he's licensed in the electrical and the plumbing, and pretty much his word goes. So if he wanted to do if you get the contractor to come in, you wouldn't need an inspector at that point. If he's willing to do the 4-point and the wind mitt after that. Yeah, general contractors are expensive, but they're you can't, for a full rehab, I would definitely go with a contractor.
Another question, actually. What is the average cost for an inspection to be done, and what is high, what is low?
For a whole home, or so the 4-point,
Yes.
the whole home inspections, I would say average around $500. The larger homes are more, but the whole home inspection, which for us includes a 4-point and a wind mitt with it, is they average around $500.
And I'm guessing that Cheryl is going to give us your number?
Actually, he's going to give it to you right now, and I will definitely send out the recording so that way you'll have it. If you saw the flyer, his information's on the flyer as well. If you are joining a little late, Steve Trotta happens to also be a South Florida firefighter. So one thing, obviously, we want to give back to our community, but we can't appreciate more than what he and his family are doing to sacrifice for us. So having him come on today and give back, I think it's just amazing to educate us on that. So that's why when you see his logo, it's Real Deep Inspections, and it has a nice little firefighter badge on there. So that was really awesome.
Thank you very much, Steve, for your services, as well as coming here and helping us out today.
Thank you.
So Steve, go ahead and give them your phone number on how they can reach you.
Okay, it's 954-656-3650.
All right, and I also put it in the chat. Thank you, Seth, for putting in the chat as well. All right, did anyone have any other questions? Because we'll give you about 15 minutes back in your day and let Steve get on his way. He's got actually an inspection to go to. But if you have any other questions, I would suggest to ask those now, and we'll get them answered, and then we'll be able to move on to the rest of our day.
I have one last question.
Okay, go ahead.
When looking through a house, what are some of the red flags that would pop up just as a walkthrough to look for and to whether or not to go forward with the house or not? In other words, is there, you know, any signs from just a walkthrough of major termites or major plumbing or anything like that that you would, you know, you would be able to just through a walkthrough just say, hey, this is not a good deal?
Yeah. So just without using any equipment and just walking through the house, walking up to the house, the first thing I'm going to look at is the roof, you know, and the roof is huge because they're, you know, they're very costly, and the eaves under the roof are a pretty telltale sign of the quality of the roof. If you look for fresh paint spots, or you look on the eaves, the wood eaves, where they're swollen or splitting, you know, that's telling me that there's some type of a leak up there. That's just on the outside of the house. When I walk into the house, I look the windows. I always go look around the windows, look at the baseboards under the windows, look right below the sill, and see if there's any bulging or any fresh paint under there, because when they leak, those spots get soft. So those are just walking in, looking at that. I'll pull open under the kitchen sink and look at the type of pipe that's under there, because generally what's under there is going to be through the entire house. So that gives you an idea right there.
Very good. Yes, definitely.
Steve, we have another question. Haiti, go ahead and unmute yourself. Thank you.
Steve, I wanted to find out pipe inspection. Is that done separately? That's not, or do you do those?
We'll do that when we're inspecting the home. We look at the pipe and we'll look for leaks and the type of pipe and whatnot. If there is an issue with that, then we'll recommend that you get a licensed plumber. If we find something that's wrong, like.
So the licensed plumber would be the one to, my terminology, dig deeper and check those pipes.
Yes, if there's an issue, like a drainage issue or something like that, or a major leak, yeah, if it's not found during an inspection and say just you have somebody who's got a plumbing issue, definitely a licensed plumber.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Now, Chrissy mentioned something. She said electrical panels are huge also. I believe she was responding to Miss Alcatel 3V. I don't know what her name is. Chrissy, do you want to elaborate on that?
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes. So when I do insurance, so just so everybody knows, when you do go to buy a home or look at a home or anything, electrical panels are huge. A lot of insurance companies will not take certain ones, like a Zinsco is very hard to get insurance for. A Federal Pacific is very hard to get insurance for because of the cloth wiring and how it's double tapped and all that. So a huge thing to look for when you're buying a home, please always check electrical panels, because that is a huge thing in the insurance world now. And that's only a couple. There's like 5 out there. Insurance companies don't want. Citizens will take it, but just remember, Citizens is a go-to company. We only write them if we have nobody else to write with.
You know, it's interesting you mentioned that, because that was the question that I forgot earlier, is the cloth wiring. There's still homes that have cloth wiring. Steve, do you see that often? Because that's a huge hazard. So, I mean, what would you expect? Like the whole house has to be rewired, or is it just in that attic space that would need to be rewired?
Yeah, I haven't come across any cloth wiring yet, but it would definitely have to be replaced. It's a fire hazard.
Yeah. Awesome. And we're actually going to be doing another coffee and questions with Chrissy, because she is an insurance agent and she can then give us the rundown of what's happening with insurance right now. I know that they've done a lot of changes, so it's really good to kind of get an idea of how to understand the home inspection first so that when it comes to the insurance, then everyone is better prepared. So that is going to be another meeting we'll probably have in a couple of weeks. So what we're setting that up. So if you guys want to join, just put your information into the chat box and we'll be sure to send that out to you. And then you can ask the insurance agent. So did anyone else have any questions? All right, well, we'll give you guys about 10 minutes back in your day. Steve, thank you so much for joining us this morning. I know it was a little rough morning for you and you've got a lot of things going on, but again, we couldn't appreciate you more for all of your service and your team to this community. I know we stopped by your firehouse quite a bit, and the guys are awesome. So yeah, just we thank you so much for everything you do, and
Thank you.
we want to just say thank you. So I appreciate you taking the time today to go over this a couple of times with everyone. And if you don't mind, we're going to go ahead and share your contact information and this video and recording so that all of our referral partners can be better educated on what to expect. Oh, one thing we did not ask, I'm sorry, let me quickly ask. One thing we did not ask is what are you doing to be cautious going into the home with this COVID-19 pandemic that we're in? So as a firefighter, you guys have a million things you have to do to stay sanitized and safe. So what are you doing when you walk into someone's home?
So as far as that goes, the big thing, how the disease is transmitted is through actual molecules from saliva, so from your mouth. So if you keep that 6-foot distance, then you're fine. You know, I recommend everybody who's there needs to have a mask on. If someone's coughing, then they can't be there. They got to go. No coughing. That's a huge problem. As far as the disinfecting goes, before we go into the house, everything's cleaned, and when we leave the house, we clean everything. The truck, the ladders, everything gets cleaned, gets disinfected. So, but you just can't walk around touching things and then touch your face, because that's pretty much how you get it.
So are you wearing any specific equipment or, you know, things for you to take precaution when you go into someone's home to do a home inspection? Do you have to wear a suit? Do you change your shoes? Do you have to wear a mask? Like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah, we have outside shoes and inside shoes. So we don't walk around the people's yard and then walk through their house with the same pair of shoes on. We use P100 masks, which have respirators on them, which are disposable. So at the end of the inspection, they get thrown out.
Oh, nice.
I generally have on, I have a Tyvek suit, but haven't found the need to wear it yet. I have long sleeve shirts on always. I never go in without that on, and it's a full decon after a home inspection. It's not one home inspection to the next home inspection. It's home inspection and then decon, for the next one.
Awesome.
So we don't spread anything.
I didn't even think about doing the indoor shoes and outdoor shoes. I may have to now sanitize all my children. Make sure that they don't come in the house like that.
Yeah, that's just more of a courtesy for the people, so we're not tracking dirt and stuff through their home. As far as this COVID-19 goes, you're really not gonna spread it that way.
Okay. Well, I think that's a great idea, and I don't even know if anyone else has seen any inspectors doing that, but I think it's just very considerate of you. But because you have that experience and background with the fire station and what precautions you guys have to take, it's just awesome that flows over into this business for you. So I think you're doing a great job. So again, thank you so much. I think that was the last of my questions, I promise. And we'll go ahead and give you guys, about 8 minutes back in your day. So thank you all for joining. And if you guys have any questions, I'm going to share with you, if you want to drop your email into the chat box, I'm going to share with you Steve's contact. I'll send his business card over, and that way you guys can reach out to him if you have any questions or if you guys need anything here in the Tri-County area. So thank you so much for joining, Steve. Thank you so much. And I hope you guys all have a safe, happy, healthy day.
Thank you.
Thank you. just going to give it a minute in case anyone wants to drop their information in, and I'll share his contact with you guys. So thank you, Amanda. Thank you, everybody, for joining. Thank you for your questions. I think there were some great questions and scenarios that you guys went through, and Steve did an amazing job jumping on and answering those questions. So we appreciate him and all he does. One thing that community lending is huge on is supporting our local heroes and our first responders. And that's why I also wanted to bring Steve on, because he does so much for the community. His station is actually one of the ones that we visit quite often. Thank you. So we visit his station quite often and show support and bring goodies. And we couldn't be more appreciative. These great group of guys. And they're doing so much right now for everybody. So thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Seth, Christy, Kay, everyone that joined. I want to just thank you so much, and have a great day. Enjoy the rest of your day. And if you guys need anything, I'm here, and I'll send out Steve's contact information, as well as our next meeting. We're doing we're going to meet with Chrissy and have a coffee and Q&As. All right. So everyone have a great day. Thanks for joining.
Thank you, you too.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.